Hi everyone, so my name is Brielle. I am 24 years old. Sometimes I forget how old I am. I'm 24 years old. I might not look like it, but I am 24 years old. And I'm going to be sharing my stillbirth or stillborn story with you guys. I'm a very, I wouldn't really say secretive person, but like what's my business is my business, and I don't share, things with other people outside of like my family and my friends. I just like things to just be, my business, just to be, my business. And so this is like kind of a lot to be sharing, because I feel like I've never really fully told my side of the story, even all of it to family and friends, and how it really feels to live this life. And I'm kind of setting myself up for failure because I don't have any tissue. So here's my story. So, my boyfriend and I, we have been together for, by that point, it was probably like 6-7 years. We've actually been together since we were in high school. I believe we were like 15. Met on Instagram. We knew each other before then from like around town, but we didn't really kick it off until 15. And we just, like, that was it. Like, we just didn't stop talking to each other since. So in November of 2020, we found out that we were expecting a baby. He was excited. I was excited, but I was like also nervous because I was in respiratory therapy school. I was graduating in the spring, so I was kind of like at the end of a semester, and then I had one more semester left. And like for me, it was hard because like I was going to be graduating. I felt like I couldn't provide, for my child, and all these things that when I look back on, like, it was okay. Like when you look back and you're like, it was perfectly fine. Like, but anyway, found out we were expecting a baby in November of 2020. Very excited. It was our first child, both of our first, child. So I was kind of like super duper nervous to tell my family. I didn't want anyone to be upset with me. Even though it was our responsibility, I still, like, it was still hard for me to tell my mom and my dad, because I thought they were going to be upset with me. And I'm not on here to bash any of my family members. Like, I'm not here to bash anybody. My family members, my boyfriend, friends. Like, I'm not here to do any of that. But, like, how my mom responded was, like, what I expected. She was crying, and, like, the moment, like, she started crying, like, I felt every emotion. Like, I felt like I disappointed her. I upsetted her, and, like, that was hard for me. Even from, like, my boyfriend's mom, like, she kind of did the same thing, and I felt like I disappointed everyone. And so yeah, that was that. So I waited so long. I didn't tell them until January, and by that point, like, I kind of already knew, we already knew what we were having. Because I found out I was pregnant in November, and the doctor's office that I was going to, they didn't fit me in. I didn't have an appointment until like the second week of January. And so like my first appointment, my very first ultrasound, I was literally like 14 weeks. And like, mind you, this is my first time ever doing this. And when they did the ultrasound, like, I was so surprised, because I'm like, this baby is fully developed. Like, I was so surprised. And we found out the gender that day. So yeah, it was a lot to take in, and we didn't tell our family until then. It was just really a lot. You kind of have to create boundaries with anyone that you deal with in life, because like, people will put, you know, how they feel, or how they feel like you should be living your life, or what they expected from you, and how they want you to live your life and on you. And it's very, very tough. It's very tough. So yes, we found out, and my boyfriend and I, we went out to eat. I might insert the video here, because it was a very beautiful moment, where we found out the gender. We found out together, and yeah, we were so excited, of course nervous, but
hello YouTube, we are finding out the gender. Well, no, child.
Well, what did you
I wanted to be a girl. I think it's gonna be a girl. What do you think?
I kind of think it's a boy.
You think it's a boy?
Wait. I knew it.
Oh my God. Son. It's a boy. Yeah, she found out too quick.
I told you. I said,
what's she looking at?
Well,
Oh yeah, little ping. Son, take after me. Congratulations. It's a boy. It's a boy.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
That is. My mom knew it though. That's crazy. But I should have known, because she said, I can see it right now.
And then your dream, you said it was a little boy.
Yeah. Wow.
You're excited.
Yeah, I'm
you
excited.
Don't care,
I'm excited.
It's not a girl.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Oh my gosh, bro.
We just had to try for another
Freaking boy.
Sure. Yeah, son, we excited to meet you.
A freaking boy.
I kind of knew him well though, because you look like me.
A big old head.
Hey.
Oh my God, I can't believe that.
You're a boy mom. A boy mom. A boy mom.
That's crazy.
You already got your name picked out, son.
What's his name?
You know it.
So yeah, that was that. So we had the gender reveal. It was the first week of February, because it was like the day or two after my birthday. So it was like the first week of February. We had a gender reveal for everyone else, and that's another thing. Like, everyone was upset because like, they wanted us to do a actual gender reveal where we didn't know, but like, you have to create boundaries. We wanted to know together, like, this was our child, and that's just how we wanted it to be. And people were upset about that. Family members were upset about that. And so yeah, we had a gender reveal. I might insert that too. Just a little small gender reveal. Nobody could really, it was like the midst of COVID, So we didn't, it wasn't like a big thing. Like, it wasn't like a whole, you know. So I'm gonna insert that. So after the gender reveal, everyone was excited. You know, I'm in school trying to finish up this degree and, you know, trying to figure out a way how I'm going to be a great mother, a great provider. And so, yeah. So a few weeks later, it was probably like the end of February, we went for the anatomy scan. And I keep saying and I need to stop doing that. The anatomy scan, I didn't know what to expect. Neither one of us knew what to expect. Like, we really did not know what an anatomy scan was. And like, you think, oh, nothing's gonna be wrong, my baby's gonna be perfectly healthy, you know. Went for the anatomy scan. The doctor did say that he found a spot on baby's heart. Then he had fluid build up around his kidneys, and the doctor was like that's an indicator, like the spot on his heart and then also the kidneys having fluid around them is an indicator of Down syndrome. And I kind of immediately like broke down, because it's like you never like, when you have children and when you carry them, it's like you never expect anything to be wrong with them. You want them to live a beautiful life. You want all these things for your kid, you know, and then it's out of your control. So I immediately broke down. I felt like I lost control. I felt like I did something wrong to make this happen. I felt as if I failed my child. I failed my boyfriend. Like, it was just a lot. So that happened. So the doctor was like, okay, let's order a genetics test to see if it is Down syndrome. So we did that. That was hard, because I was trying to have faith that my baby was okay and that he didn't have Down syndrome. But it was also that other half of me that was like, oh my gosh, what if he does? So yeah. Genetics test came back. He did not have Down syndrome. So I was feeling a little bit better. The doctor said that, so we weren't really going to worry about it. A couple of weeks later, they were going to basically kind of like redo an anatomy scan to see how everything looked. But he said he wasn't really concerned about it, you know. We were going to wait till the baby got here and delivered and go from there, you know, see what the doctors see from there. So yeah. So that was that. I believe the beginning of April, or it was like the end of March, somewhere in between there, I caught COVID. My school, my university, we got COVID tests literally it was probably more like twice a week, but I can't remember. But this was my first COVID test. It was like on a Tuesday, and I do remember like feeling really stuffy, but like, I know it sounds crazy, but I just did not think it was COVID. Like, I just thought I was stuffy and a little sick. And my COVID test came back positive. And I got home, like, when I was pulling up to the apartment, like, they said that my test was positive, and I was just so in shock. because I was like avoiding COVID all of this time for the health of my child and for myself. And then I got it, and I know it's not my fault. It wasn't my fault. It just happened. And I don't know how, like, it's crazy because you don't know how you contract COVID. And, you know, you think you're doing everything. Like, I always wear my mask. I always did all of that. And I just did not know where it came from. So I went to got in the house with my boyfriend up, and I'm like, my COVID test is positive. And he immediately, like, he was very, very shocked and, like, anxious. And he's like, okay, well, I need to go get one. Like, this is, like, the time where, like, COVID first kind of started. So it was more, like, now we're kind of, like, a little lax about it. But, like, so he went and got a COVID test. His COVID test came back negative, and he remained negative the whole time I had COVID. And we honestly and truthfully did not isolate from each other. And I thank him for that because I needed him. But he did not make me feel like I was a bug. After I got COVID, I called the doctor, and I told them that I tested positive for COVID. And they asked me, like, okay, do you feel the baby move? And I'm like, yes. And they were like, okay, if you have any concerns or you don't feel him move, then come back. I wasn't concerned, but now when I look back on it, they should have required me to come in to the hospital somewhere so that they can monitor me. But I feel as though everyone was so scared of COVID that it was kind of like, oh no, we're not going to bring her in here. She's infected, you know. So, yeah. So, a couple of weeks later, I don't ever remember, you know, anything feeling off. A couple of weeks later, I went in for my doctor's appointment after I got off of quarantine. And my blood pressure was like, they said my blood pressure was high. I never had issues with my blood pressure before that. It was always fine. But they said my blood pressure was high. So they, you know, did all that, and then, like, the doctor was like, we're going to send you to the hospital. Mind you, I'm 27 weeks pregnant. We're going to send you to the hospital to monitor you. And she was like, you know, we just want to monitor the blood pressure and the baby, and if things don't get better, worst case scenario is we're going to have to take the baby, but hopefully, you know, if we monitor you, it'll just get better, and then we can send you home. Went to the hospital. I was so nervous. Like, I was so nervous. I was scared. I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to have this baby. And he's only 27 weeks. I was so nervous. So, me and my boyfriend, he had actually just got finished with a funeral, for being a pallbearer for a funeral for one of his mom's friend's daughter who passed away in a car accident. She was like around our age. She had passed away in a car accident, and he was going to the funeral. It was raining. I remember it was rainy. It was cold. I remember what I had on down to my underwear. Like, I remember the whole day. It was so rainy. It was cold, and, you know, Nasir, he told them that he had to leave and he had to come with me to the hospital. And I was like, well, I need to get some food, because if I'm going to be in there, then I need food. So we went to Cookout. I remember what I got. I got a quesadilla. I barely ate the quesadilla. And we went to the hospital. And, like, when you're over a certain amount of weeks, they automatically send you up to, like, labor and delivery. So I could just walk in and go straight up to labor and delivery. And this is where it gets hard, because it's like, you just remember everything leading up to the point, and Like, my life completely changed. The moment I walked into that hospital, my life changed forever. Who I was no longer who I was gonna be. My relationship with my family members, like, I was never gonna be that person again. And I didn't, like, looking back, I didn't realize this. Like, I didn't know how grief worked, but, like, you become a totally different person. You have to reinvent yourself. And so, yeah. So, we went to the hospital. Checked. They, tried to find his heartbeat. And she was like, well, where was the heartbeat at? When they looked, so I told her, like, where they found it at. And she was like, okay. She's still looking. So, she brings the ultrasound thing in there. And she looks, and I'm thinking everything is okay. And the doctor came in, looked on the ultrasound, and she was like, there's no heartbeat. And I was like, what? Like, what do you mean? She was like, I'm sorry, there's no heartbeat. And I broke down. I couldn't believe that this was happening to me. And it's like, you read so many stories and you think that none of this could happen to you. And it was the beginning of hell for me. Little did I know, it was the beginning of hell for me. It was the beginning of the worst pain of my life. All of that. So, Nasir called my mom and his mom, and everybody came. His mom and dad, my mom and dad, my siblings. And mind you, it was like COVID, so they weren't really allowing people up there, but they really did not care how many people I had. And my mom got there and just broke down. Broke completely down. But I didn't realize, like, what was gonna come after that. But whoever realizes what's gonna come after that, how your life changes forever. Every aspect of you changes forever. How you look at yourself, how you view the world, it changes forever. And I just remember my mom walking me back into the room to deliver him. And the doctor, she was like, well, before we walk back into the next room, she was like, well, we can either send you home and you could come back and deliver him, or we can just do it now. And she said, I would suggest, you know, to just do it now. And I remember my mom, I don't even know how I got to the next room. I just remember my mom, like, holding me up and walking me to the next room. I had no strength. And honestly, I just wanted to tell them to just cut him out of me. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to. And my mom, she was like, we're going to try to deliver him naturally. And I just kind of went along with it. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know anything. And I just remember in the bed, it just feels like a blur. Like, I remember the feelings that came with it, but it feels like a blur. Like, I feel like I wasn't really there. And I just remember laying in the bed, and hours gone by, and my brother and my sisters are there, my mom, my dad, everyone's there. And just trying to make the best of the situation, but I feel like I was just so in a daze. And I just remember her saying, we're going to start labor. I'm going to give you some medicine to start the labor. And I'm like, okay. I was scared. Like, this is the first baby I delivered. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how the contractions were going to feel. Like, I just didn't know. But I know I had to do it. I didn't have a choice. So, we started labor at like 11:10 p.m. and I started to feel it. And I'm like a very small person, so my boyfriend was he was in the bed with me the whole time, and literally, and I just remember sitting, and like I started to feel pain. I guess he could see it on my face that it hurt. And she was like, when I was pregnant, I was like, I'm really gonna try not to get an epidural. I'm gonna try not to do this. Like, that was the last resort. So I was so hooked on not getting an epidural. So like, it started to hurt, and then like Nasir, he looked at me and my boyfriend, and he was like, do you need some medicine? And I'm like, no, I'm okay. Like, I was trying to push through it. I don't know how long passed, because I was like kind of like drugged, I don't know. And I guess he could tell that the pain was getting worse, and he was like, are you sure? Do you want some medicine? And I was like, yeah. I don't really know what they gave me, but they gave me something for pain, which eased it a little bit. It did get like kind of like a little bit worse, and I got some more pain medicine, and I just remember going to sleep, having to go to the bathroom, and them telling me like, after we give you this, you can't really stand up or something. So I literally held my pee the whole time. And I remember 6 in the morning came, and I remember hearing or seeing my mom like walk out, and she was on the phone, and I like sat up, and I felt like pressure down there, but it wasn't like pressure that hurt. It just felt like something wasn't right. And I sat up, and like Nasir, he got up till he was gonna, I don't know what he was gonna do, but I was like, Nasir, you gotta get the nurse, you gotta get the doctor. And he was like, what? And I was like, you gotta get the doctor. And I guess he looked like in between my legs, and Joah was coming out, and it was like 6 in the morning. So he ran, like I remember him running out the door, and he was like, I need a doctor, I need a doctor. So like the nurse and the doctor came in. The doctor was like asleep. You know, doctors work really long shifts. She was asleep, and I could see it in her eyes like that she had just woke up, and she looked at me, and I just remember her going, she's like, okay, it's time. And like, I'll never forget that. Like, I could see the pain in her eyes for me, for us. And I pushed, and he was out. And they laid him on my chest for like 2 seconds and took him away. After that, they took him out, got me cleaned up, I guess got him cleaned up, delivered the placenta. Then it was like realization. We held him, and that is the story of having our stillborn son, Joah. And you are missed every day on this side of earth. And as I always say, if I had one wish, I just need one. It would be to bring you back. Because this pain that I feel every day is so unbearable. I ask myself, how are you still here? It's so unbearable. And I don't wish it on anybody. I don't wish it on anybody. It hurts so bad. It hurts so bad to know that your first child is gone and you couldn't help him. It hurts so bad, like, it hurts so bad knowing that, like, you just, everything is gonna change. You're gonna change. You're not that person that you once were. You're never gonna be that person again. Your relationships with your significant other, with your family, with your friends, it's never gonna be the same. Because there's a big part that's like, it's a big part of you. It's like nobody understands how I feel. Not my mom, not my dad, not my friends, none of my family. Like, nobody understands that pain and what relationships go through. It's very hard. And I miss my baby every single day. And I wish things were differently. But I can't change anything. And I really wish I could. So yeah. That's my story. Joah was delivered on April 20th of 2021 at 6:15 a.m. His name was Joah Sincere. And mommy misses you. Mommy loves you. Pray for all of the mothers who have lost a child. I want to pray for all of the fathers. I want to pray for the grandparents. I want to pray for anyone attached to these people, that they will be all that they can be to help them during this rough time in their life. Because it's not easy. It's not easy. Sometimes you just want to hug. Sometimes you just tell them it's okay. It's going to be okay. Hug them. Hold on to them. Call them. Check on them. This, for me, has happened. It's crazy to believe. I was doing the math the other day, and it's been a year and 6 months, and it still hurts. It's still so fresh. Just love on these people who are grieving, because sometimes you honestly feel like giving up. You feel like giving up. So just love on those people. Love on anyone who's lost a child, no matter the age, because it's so hard. It's so hard. So, yeah.